And now, the hottest podcast around the globe, Straight Up TV. With your host, that dude all-star.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Straight Up TV. I'm glad to see you guys. Welcome back. If this is your first time tuning in, man, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, man. I will appreciate it, man. So today is January 10th, 2023. This is the second episode of the brand new year. This episode is sponsored by Light the Night. If you want to light the night, you have to buy Light the Night. Light the Night is the sponsor. They're located in San Antonio, Texas. Go see Mr. Vernon. Purchase the Light the Night. All right. So today's episode is a very, very special episode, man. We have a very, very special guest in the building today, man. Listen, you know who he is. Listen. He has the #1 online audio source for all you bass heads. If you need it, he's got it. On YouTube, he has 507K subscribers. Let me say that again, 507K subscribers on YouTube. Today, we have on the show the owner of Down4 Sound, Mr. Johnathan Price. Now, listen, when I bring him in, we're going to talk to Johnathan. He's a busy man, so we're going to talk to him. I'm going to ask him questions, how he got started, how did does he install, does he tune, how does he feel about, certain magnets, certain Neo speakers and Ferret speakers. So we're going to talk to him. The chat is open, so if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. All right, let's bring him in. What's going on, sir?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on.
Man. Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on the show, man. Thank you. You see, I'm repping your shirt, right?
Yeah, I see that, and I see the sticker in the background too. I appreciate that. I love all the support that I get from all the people all across the world, really. Now.
Oh yeah. So let me give you just a little bit about my YouTube channel.
Okay.
So my YouTube channel is about slingshots. So the 3-wheel motorcycle, autocycle. I stream live with slingshot owners all over the United States. Sometimes we have 12 to 13 people on the screen, and we're all talking about just different topics that will make the slingshot community better. We're talking about the shows. We're talking about the light show, the sound competition. We're talking about the show in down south, the show in New York. We're talking about what can be better. So it's a really big community of slingshot owners that stick together, and we all travel and have competition. So my channel is like 100% geared to slingshots.
Awesome. I rented a slingshot one time. I took my I thought it was gonna be a great idea to take my girl on it. This was back when I first moved out to Vegas, and I was like, I'm gonna surprise her with something cool, and I go rent a slingshot and go pick her up and like take her around the city. And that night it ended up being like a cold front blew in, and it was cold outside. So I'm like, I'm going anyway. So I went and picked it up, and I was freezing the whole way back to the house. And I'm like, babe, you need to get your get all bundled up. We're about to go somewhere. She's like, where are we going? And anyway, get her to come outside, and she sees a slingshot, and she thinks it's cool. And so anyway, we went for a ride around the city. But for the first, I rented it for the day, but the first few hours were kind of chilly because that cold front done blew in.
Yeah. Okay. What'd you think about it?
Oh, it's cool. It's totally different than anything I've ever driven before, for sure. But it's cool, and it definitely gets a lot of looks. You can see every time you pull up at the red lights and stuff, people are looking.
Oh yeah. Now I'm assuming the one you rented, it didn't have like a really, really loud system. It didn't have all the extra lights and stuff.
No, it was just it's almost like renting a car. It's basic. Like just the bare minimum.
Yeah. Well, when you get one that's tricked out and it has, I don't know, 40 40,000 watts of speakers and lights and stuff, and it's got
Oh yeah.
super paint job, and it's got all the whistles and bells, man. You get a lot of looks. You pull into a gas station and you would damn near be a celebrity, you
Oh,
know?
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I see them at these shows that I go to. They're wild. I mean, it's just like basically just like the vehicles that we have. We totally trick out the vehicles that we have. They do the same exact thing to the slingshots and side by sides and stuff. Now they have so
Yeah,
much stuff on them things. I'm like, man, how do they do that? So, but you got to have a bunch of battery power and all that good stuff.
yeah, man. All right, guys, we're gonna get into this interview conversation with Mr. JP. If you have any questions, you can hit them in the live chat, and we'll try to get to your questions. JP, man, I want to say, man, if you have any tips, man, you have 507K subscribers on YouTube, man. If you have any tips, man, you can just slide them to me and hit my DMs and slide them to me, man.
Okay. I mean, the biggest thing is just being yourself and just sharing what you're passionate in and your love of doing stuff is. And that, I mean, that's what I've always done. I've always been passionate about car audio and going to car shows and stuff like that. So I just always shared it on there, and it just seemed to acquire a little following over the years.
Okay, cool. So how did you get started in YouTube, man? Now I seen it's got 4 million views, and it's the drive-through at Wendy's. Talk to
Yeah.
us about that.
That's the other thing is like making just um I'm not sure what the best word for it is, but just making that type of content. That's my best stuff that I have. The best response I get is like doing like reaction videos to what people think about my system, but not so much people at car shows or car audio shows, because people that go to car audio shows, most of them have already heard loud systems before. Maybe not to the level that I have, but they're kind of used to it in a way. But when you pull up at a drive-through at Wendy's and you let it rip, and they're like, the most of the people that are in there haven't ever heard any type of loud car audio, much less on that level where it's like knocking everything off the walls and everything's just tearing apart in the store from car audio. So that's the best videos, and that's what people want to see the most from me.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, my truck stays in Alabama most of the time, so for me to be able to do those type of like drive-through videos and gas station videos, stuff like that, it's hard for me to do these days because I don't have my vehicle readily accessible to me. But that's the best ones, and I need to get back to that once I get the build up and going with the new setup. It would be most beneficial for me to, when I go to these shows, to maybe fly out a day earlier and spend the day before the show just cruising around the city, going through drive-throughs, have my cameraman go inside the Wendy's and video all the reactions of people flipping out from
yeah,
me going through the drive-through. So that would probably be beneficial to get a ton of views and exposure. One of the most, I mean, it's probably been a couple of years now, but one of the latest viral videos I did was just cruising around Vegas. I think that's what the title was, cruising around Vegas with 100,000 watts or something like that. And it's got a ton of views, but I mean, just videoing me going through different places, pulling up in random parking lots, people coming over there, just being blown away by hearing the truck,
yeah.
and driving through the intersections with stuff floating in the window from the base. Like it gets everybody's attention, and that gets a ton of views as well.
Okay, yeah. So was that video planned, or you just happened to be going through Wendy's drive-through?
No, I was just going through, and I'm like, well, let me see if I can get a reaction.
Yeah,
So it ended up working out.
yeah. Well, listen,
I mean, even though that video is so old, I still get a lot of comments coming through on that video, even with it being so old. So it was a good one.
oh yeah, it was a good one. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I think I watched it a couple of times, man. I said his guy was off the chain back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we obviously transitioned the model of it's something like trying to balance out um growing my YouTube and growing the business. But obviously the business is a lot more lucrative than YouTube is for me. but it is very important though, because it brings a lot of attention to the business.
Oh
So
yeah.
they're both very important.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can see that. So that brings me to this. How did we come up with the name Down4 Sound?
Yeah, I was mentioning that I was just on another podcast, and they wanted to know the same thing. So the story of coming up with the name Down for Sound, I'm trying to keep it as short as possible, but back in the MySpace days, if people remembers what MySpace is, but so MySpace was starting to fade out, and people were starting to make a little transition over to Facebook, but it still wasn't super popular. we um the thing that was most popular for car audio was car audio forums. Like, so people had these websites, they probably still have them, but people had these websites like caraudio.com or stevemedesigns.com, stuff like that, where people would go and they'd post their builds or ask questions about different things. Um, so we would go and post our builds or ask questions on these forums, but the problem was there was so many people that were new people, and they would go on there and ask like a simple question, and there was a lot of people that would belittle them or troll them because they didn't know anything. And I'm like, man, the guy, obviously they're trying to learn. Like, can't you
Yeah.
just respond with the answer instead of telling them they're dumb or whatever it is? So I'm like, I'm gonna come up with a place where people can go and there's no trolling or no bashing allowed, but I got to come up with a name for it before I come up with the website. So I started thinking of a bunch of different names to come up for the forum, and I bet, what's the guy's name? It's Gerald Watkins. He had a YouTube channel called Six Dogs One. But I made a post on Facebook with some different names, and I also said, if y'all have any ideas, or can we brainstorm on some different things to come up with a name. And I was with him brainstorming, and we came up with Down for Sound, and I made a post or a poll on Facebook with Down for Sound and like two other names, and Down for Sound just destroyed by a landslide. Like, took it was like 98% Down for Sound. So there was a lot of, I mean, it was clear that that needed to be the name.
Yeah.
So we started the forum Down for Sound, uh, because for that reason, for people to be able to come and talk about car audio, and not be able to get trolled or bashed or belittled, and it'd be a respectful place that people could come to. But not, maybe like 2 or 3 years after that, people started making the transition over to Facebook groups and started posting all their stuff on Facebook. So it wasn't a super long lived thing for a
Yeah.
forum, but it laid the foundation for Down for Sound, the business, to have somewhere to start at. So, but that's how we came up with the name.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Awesome. So JP, do you install or do you tune?
So over the years, I was mentioning this as well, but you find things that you enjoy doing, and then you find things that you would probably rather have somebody else do, and like spend your time doing stuff that you enjoy doing. So I've done a decent amount of installs, but it's never been something that brought me a ton of happiness.
Yeah.
So my idea was, let me find something that I'm great at, and then I'll pay somebody that's great at what I'm looking for to do it for me. So when it comes to installation, we don't do any installs at Down for Sound here at the warehouse. We're strictly a product distributor, a warehouse or distributor. And a lot of people ask us to, but the the thing is, we're so fast paced and trying to get product out the door to everybody across the world. If we were having people stop and try to do installs, and plus now we don't even have the room to do it, even though we have like 30,000 square foot warehouse, we it's so full of product, we don't even have anywhere to put a vehicle to even think about doing installs. And a lot of times it's just not our business model. I know that there's a lot of shops out there that do that, but it's not our business model. We just want to get it out there to people. Most of our customers are do-it-yourself type people, And there's
Yeah.
tons of YouTube videos out there now of people explaining in detail on from everything how to calculate a proper box, like proper tuning, how to set a DSP, like all these things, what you need to look for. But so I know I went down an alleyway on that one, but in a
That's good.
short answer, I don't do installs and I don't do tuning for that reason. It's not my cup of tea.
Right. Cool. All right, man. So I want you to talk about, if I can. I know you got your own brand. You got your own brand of speakers, your own amps. So let's talk about how that came out, how that evolved.
Yeah. So we had, as we've continued to grow as the company Down4 Sound, more people begin to trust the name and the person behind it, and they obviously you would rather buy from somebody that you have some sort of connection with. If say if there was, I don't know, the owner of Walmart was selling this item or your buddy was selling this item, would you rather support the owner of Walmart or your buddy? Like, so I have this big following online, so um that's kind of what people were requesting for us to, like, or if we were ever going to come out with products. So we slowly started introducing different products to the market, like wire, and that took hold and started getting some traction. And then people were like, "Oh, are you ever going to come out with some speakers?" And then like we came out with a couple of speakers, and so it just kind of, it's like the snowball, like it starts rolling, it's really small, but as long as it keeps rolling, it gets bigger and bigger. So the more people, I mean, people were buying our speakers we came out with, and they needed something to power the speakers with, and a lot of people want their brands to match. So they're like, "Are you ever going to come out with amps that we can power your Down4 Sound speakers with?" So that went into that, and also um, people want great value for their dollar. So that's where we try to come in at as well. That's my goal with Down4 Sound and their products, is to offer a great product at a very fair price, so everybody is like coming away a winner. I'm not looking to make $1 million off of a single person. I want to help 1 million people and make $1 off each one. Like, so everybody gets to have a great product at a great price. And the stuff that we bring to market at each category or each price point, for whether we have right now, we just came out with some super budget friendly 6.5-inch pro audio speakers, because the cheapest one we had before this was $50 and $99. Like, was the two different 6.5-inch pro audio speakers we had, but people were wanting stuff even cheaper than that. So we're like, okay, well, you have to give stuff up to get a cheaper price, but some of these people don't care. They just want to throw them in their golf cart, or they just want the cheapest thing, their work truck or whatever. They just want the cheapest thing that they can to get them a little bit of sound. So but in saying that, each thing that we come out with is going to be the best value, the most value packed thing that you can get for that price point. So whether it's a $17 6.5-inch pro audio mid, it's going to be the best $17 one you can get. Like, and the same thing with the $100 one. We believe it's going to be the best $100 one you can get, and if you get the $100 one. So, but anyway, we're trying to stack the things up to every time somebody asks about coming out with something, we kind of put that in our think tank, and we're like, oh, let's see how many other people ask about this certain amp size, or this speaker, or this tweeter, or deadener, batteries, like all these things that we've come out with. We keep getting asked to, are we going to come out with this? So eventually I'm like, okay, we've had 1,000 people ask us for tweeters, so I guess we need to come out with tweeters. So anyway, that's kind of how the process works. I'm coming out with why we came out with products, and how we go about coming out with the new products that we add up to the product line.
Yeah. Well, I got one of your products right here, man. Let's talk about this massive thing. This is the 6 amp hour lithium battery, man.
Yeah.
And,
so So as you can see, it's not massive, but
Yeah.
it packs a punch though. So this thing is 4 pounds, and I think it's 6 inches wide by 3 inches thick, and then like 4 inches tall, something like that. It's not big, but you can see the wattage rating on it is 5,000 watts. This depends a lot on your alternator inputs, but as a standalone, like with a battery, using it as a battery on like a factory charging system, we'll just use a car, for instance. It's gonna, like, if you have a car with a, I don't know, 80 or 100 amp alternator or whatever, it's gonna give you that 3,000, around a 3,000 watt range of power that it'll deal with. So but you always want to have it running. It's not a deep cycle battery. There's different batteries, different battery applications for a bunch of different uh needs, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
But this is made to go and supplement with other batteries, and it helps a ton. I mean, you can read the reviews on them. People love them for such a small, compact, powerful unit. Like, and we also recently we ordered twice as many of them as we had been, so the people gave us the manufacturer gave us even better price on them, so we passed that on to the customers, because we were selling them for years for $4.99, and we sold thousands of them, and we made a bigger purchase this time, so they gave us a better price, so we passed it on to you guys. So now we're able to do it at the $3.99 price point, so that's saving people 20%, 25%, something like that. So they're selling even more because people can afford them easier, and like they're stacking them up 2, 3, 4, 5, 10
That's
of them.
what I was going to say. I was going to say you can buy the exact same battery, and you can buy the
Bus bars.
bus bar. You
Yeah.
can hook two of these together, and then you will have 12 amp hours.
And you
Yeah.
can, and actually, you can do that indefinitely, however wide that you can go. So if the batteries are 4 inches wide, like 2 of them stacked together is obviously going to be 8 inches wide. 3 is going to be 12 inches wide. So you could have 3 of them super powerful lithium battery pack there, for, and they, like you said, use the bus bars to connect them together. But we also have now a JP40 lithium battery. It looks like an amplifier, but it's 40 amp hours, and it's I would say it's in between 2 and 3, the size of 2 and 3 of the LTO 6.0s you see right there.
Right.
But they're becoming very popular. They look like an amplifier. They're super powerful. Again, they're rated at, I think, 6 to 12,000 watts, depending on your alternator input. And they can be linked together as well. So we always make sure people can link them together to get, if they're wanting to stack up some batteries to get a ton of power in a small footprint, they're able to do it with these batteries.
Yeah. It doesn't take up much space at all.
Yeah, a lot of power in a small space. And also the JP40 lithium battery, it has a temperature and voltage monitoring system on it, on a remote cable, so you can plug that into the battery and run it up to your dash panel or whatever, and you can always check your, like, what percentage your capacity on your lithium battery, the temperature of it, the voltage, everything like that. I don't think there's any other lithium batteries out there that has this technology tied to it for you to be able to monitor it. And it also has protection stuff in there to where if it gets too low on the voltage, like it'll start flashing red, or it'll tell you like, hey, you need to charge this before trying to start your vehicle, so you don't damage the battery. Or if your voltage is getting too high, it'll let you know your voltage is too high, that you're getting it out of its safe operating range. So some really good stuff in that battery.
Oh yeah. JP, when you buy from you, you also get a shirt. You get I got a voltage meter. Yeah, you get a lanyard. You get a lot of stuff, man. That's good. That you give those little free products. I don't know what you call them, but
we call
nice,
them
man.
freebies.
Freebies.
Freebies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice, man.
Because a lot of these products that we sell for not only us but other brands as well. Like, say we'll use Sundown Audio for instance. They have, when you sign up to be a dealer for them, they have what's called MAP pricing, or minimum pricing, that you can sell their product for. And they do this so you don't have people that are constantly underbidding other people or lowering their pricing. And then next thing you know, you can't make any money off of it, and like it damages the reputation of the brand, and it devalues the brand. So they have this MAP pricing in place to help protect the value of the brand and help keep it up there. So with Sundown, I forgot, what was the question that you asked me? I was going down the
what was it? Well, we were talking about
the freebies. Okay.
Yeah, freebies.
So say like we're selling a Sundown Salt 4K. It's a $1,400 amplifier, but they set the pricing for it. So they're like, you have to sell this amplifier for $1,400. So obviously other people sell this amplifier on the internet. So why are they going to purchase from me? Well, the main reason why people will purchase from Down4 Sound is because they've seen me, they've met me, they watch my YouTube videos, they follow my social media. They feel this personal connection with me, that I'm another bass head just like they are, another car audio speaker head. There's a bunch of different names for it, but that we have this connection, even though we may not have ever met in person. Them watching my videos and me coming onto a podcast or talking to people, like I'm just a normal person too. So you're supporting a person that is just a regular guy, right, just like a lot of the people that buy from me. So, but if it is not a person, maybe they just stumble across my website and they're like, okay, we're comparing this website with Down4 Sound. Okay, they both have the same exact product. It says it's in stock. It's both listed at $1,400. Why are we going to buy from one versus the other? Well, they'll probably try to look for reviews to see which company is most reputable. But say we're completely the same in reviews. So the next thing is going to be value. What additional value are they getting with purchasing from Down4 Sound? So they'll see, okay, if I purchase this amp from Down4 Sound, I not only get the amplifier just like I get from the other place, but I'm getting some swag. I'm getting my t-shirt. I'm getting a voltmeter to help me keep up with my voltage. I'm getting a lanyard, some candy, all this stuff that we throw in there to make it a little bit sweeter.
I forgot about the candy. Yeah. But I had a question, JP. So you have 2.5K videos on your YouTube. So do you make a video on every product that you sell?
Not, I don't think so. Not every product that we sell. I'm actually curious now how many products we have listed.
Yeah,
on the
website. You got 2.5K videos.
So most of those videos, are demo videos and like going to shows and stuff like that. But we have 5,539 products on the website now. But we do try to, like, when we come out with new products, especially now, we try to do like videos on the new products that we sell, like give people a little video tour of it, maybe play it, stuff like that. But yeah, all those videos, I actually meant to make a post about that. I need to write myself a note real quick, because I just I got a notification from YouTube. Congratulations on uploading 2,500 videos. I was like, what? 2,500? That's a lick.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. That's a lot, man. I mean, I watched a ton of them, man. A ton of them.
Me too.
A ton of them, man. A ton of them. So, JP, we'll get into a quick commercial real fast, and man, we'll be right back.
Okay.
Light the Night LEDs for your premium high-quality LED needs. The Night the Light LED team has become one of the fastest growing LED light companies on the market today. We pride ourselves on great customer service and advanced installation techniques with superior products. Light the Night LEDs provides the best customer service in the industry with our lifetime warranty guarantee on all products. Your premium LED needs for Polaris Slingshot, Vanderhall, Can-Am and Rikers, Harley-Davidson. We also provide high-quality accessories for your car, trucks, or RV. Feel free to give us a call today at 1-844-586-5337 or go to our website, ltnleds.com, and find an authorized dealer near you. And always remember, you can't light the night without Light the Night. Often imitated, never duplicated. And coming soon, the newest innovative device to enhance your LEDs. Zeus, coming soon. Log on today, ltnleds.com.
All right, and we're back, So,
All
if you're
right.
just not tuning in, we're talking to Mr. Down4, Mr. JP. JP, let's get into something different, man. I want to get into talking about the installs. We were talking earlier about, the installer can make something sound good versus if you don't have a DSP, or if you do have a DSP, if you don't have an EQ. It's all about that installer who understands, the airspace and the speaker boxes and all that stuff. Can you talk to us about that?
Oh yeah, for sure. So, a big misconception. I mean, you can definitely fine tune or super uh, tweak a. Well, front office manager was leaving, just tell me bye. But you can definitely go to the next level of fine tuning a system with a DSP. But I would say that most people, the general public, does not have the knowledge to do that, or need to. Like my truck, I was telling you about my work truck. It does not have a DSP. It's strictly tuned with the the crossovers on the amplifier. So, and you're able to make something sound amazing with just if you know what you're doing. And there are tools out there, we sell them, like from SMD, like crossover calibrators, DD1s and stuff like this, so you can tune your system to where it's going to sound amazing without having a DSP. I mean, some of these DSPs can be over $1,000. Like, it's a big investment to do this when it's not totally necessary, because like I said, I don't have that in my work truck, and everybody that hears it, they're like, man, this thing sounds amazing. Like, well, that's one of the questions they ask: what kind of DSP you have, or what kind of crossover do you have? I'm like, it's just on the amplifiers. Like, there's no DSP or anything. Like, what? So it just goes to show you that the installation is so important, and there's so many people out there that think they know how to install, and you'll I mean, we deal with them a lot. Oh, I've been installing for 20 years. And like, just because you've been installing for 20 years doesn't mean you've been installing properly for 20 years, or tuning things properly for 20 years. They could have been taught wrong and just kept repeating that for their entire life, and it may get them by. But if you put it actually on a meter, or like some data equipment that's going to be able to read exactly how it's sounding, and you'll know then that they really don't know what they're doing. People will say, oh, I can tune it by my ear. And some people can. I mean, if they've been in the game and they do like a really good job, they've used tuning equipment a lot in the past, sometimes those people can get it obviously way more dialed in than a person that hasn't ever used like equipment to analyze and get data from how the system's sounding exactly. They're just guessing the whole time. So people with knowledge that actually have good knowledge, not just hand me down knowledge that, oh yeah, it sounds good to my ear, like that can be taken the wrong way, or the install could not be completely as good as it could be. But now Tahoe has a DSP in there, a couple of them actually, because it's so complex. It has I think Drew Jones put the JL, I think they're TWKs, Twix, in there to separate, because my Tahoe now has 918s in there. So, and they're they needed to be time aligned, and it's very complex to get it to operate the way that it needs to be, so you're not having phase issues and everything like that. But we're talking about something that's so over the top. Like, it's not any type of a couple 12s or 412s, or it's not any type of normal, where most people, I would say, can get by perfectly fine without using a DSP. And this is coming from somebody that would love to sell you a DSP. I mean, I sell them, but I'm not here to sell you stuff that you don't need.
Right.
So if you're not going to some straight up sound quality competition where you are trying to achieve the absolute best quality of sound, if it's just going to be a person, and sound is also so subjective to each person. So if you're going to a sound competition and they're like, oh, well, we'll see who I think sounds better. Like, so that it's just me. And the next
Yeah.
person that walks by can be like, oh, that one sounds better to me. Like, how do you think that one sounds better? But each person is different. So that's the other thing, is it's so subjective for that reason.
Yeah. How would you, in your opinion, how would you correctly judge a competition? Say if you got like, well, you know what a slingshot is. You
Mhm.
got like slingshots competing. So we got
Mhm.
categories. We got featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, middle, and heavy. So different categories. You have different, so many speakers and different ones, whatever. But
Right.
if you have two that pull up beside each other and you have three judges on foot, you know, you're outside.
Yeah.
What would be the best way to judge who sounds the best?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, is I've been to some of these, and I've also been to some vehicle competitions. There's so many different ways that they do them. Like sometimes they play them both at the same exact time, and see some of them which one is just louder. Like again, like that's not so much sound quality,
Yeah.
but if they're going for loudness and like quality of sound, the only way to 100% accurately judge that without any type of bias is with audio equipment like that's actually going to read the sound coming from each one of them. So you would need to come up with some sort of distance from the slingshot, say 20 foot away. You're going to set this mic right here, and it's going to have a computer screen over here that's going to, and you're going to play a track, and it's going to give you the data. And then you go over to this one, you do the same exact thing 20 foot away. Again, I'm using just a hypothetical situation, but 20 foot away, you get them to play the same track, and it gives you the data. So which one has the cleanest bandwidth, the best crossover curves, like everything like that. So then it's not biased, because it's anything in life these days can be swayed. Like
Yeah.
football games, like who
Yeah. Yeah.
knows
Oh yeah.
who slid them 500 before they pulled up at the
Yeah.
show, like, so
Yeah.
there's anything's possible without the actual data there. So I think for it to be as accurate as possible, there needs to be some sort of equipment there that's reading it, not just a person. I mean, because I've been asked to, and I feel in a way guilty when I'm asked to judge these things. They're like, "Which one do you think?" And I'm like, "Man, they both sound great to me."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
man, it's so hard to pick a favorite. And do I pick this one just because it had a cooler paint job? Like
Yeah.
they both sounded totally amazing. So did I just pick that one because the paint job was cooler or what? So anyway, I think that it would have to have some sort of equipment, actually some data there that showed proof for what you're hearing, and maybe the person would pick the correct one. But what if they picked the one that didn't sound as good on the computer? Like it clearly, then you're like, hey, how did you think this one sounded great? Look at the graph right here. That
Yeah.
thing sounds like ass. How, so who paid you before you got to the show?
Yeah. 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 The way we do it, JP, is that they start off with both slingshots beside each other, and
Mhm.
there's usually three judges, and the judges are walking around the slingshots. Each slingshot plays for 1 minute, and one goes for 1 minute, the other one goes for 1 minute, and then they have a second round, 1 minute and 1 minute, and then the judges, they pretty much hold up a paddle and say, which side they think sound better. That's
Mhm.
usually the way it goes. But and it's
Okay.
usually a topic of many conversations the day after the
Oh yeah.
contest. It's usually a main topic.
Yeah.
But who would be the best person to read that chart you're talking about? Who would be the person? Who would the person that could understand the printout?
Yeah. So there's a guy that we used to do a lot of our um speaker testing and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there, but I'm just using Drew Jones, Bassaholic Productions. He has been going to a ton of sound quality shows, has been going to a lot of these high knowledge tuning sessions, like where he has like briefcases with this tuning equipment in there, and like that where he can actually read this stuff and pull the data. So you know exactly what you're getting, because obviously when we come out with a new speaker, we have to do a lot of testing on it to make sure. I mean, because you can get a speaker from anywhere, but it can sound like garbage too. So you want to make sure that you're getting it tested and it's going to do exactly what you're wanting it to do. But anyway, Drew Jones is a guy that we use to do a lot of our speaker testing, and he would be able to like set, because he also has those setups, like he has a thing that he sets in, I think it's called an RTA mic, but his dually that he takes it to sound quality competitions, and the way that they do that is they put these 3 microphones in your driver's seat, and it reads like these 3 microphones are like 1, 2, 3 is sitting in your driver's seat, so it's reading everything so that's what they use in these sound quality competitions, and it's giving you the data on a computer that exactly what it's sounding like. And that's why they can, okay, I need to have a little bit more around 4,000. Okay, let me touch it up a little bit. Okay, so they can, I mean, they're on that level. It's just, it's way above anything you can hear. You're getting into the level of the elite of sound quality and being able, but that's somebody that would be able to actually judge it and read it and tell you with data, like, this is why this one sounds better. It's not just because JP said this one sounds better. Like, this is exactly why it sounds better.
Yeah. So JP, so sometimes when our judges, they don't know who's the winner, it's a tie. What they do is they have both slingshots play the same song, but they don't play at the same time. They just give them one song and they go one at a time and they both play that song. And then usually they figure out who's going to be the winner.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. Like, but I think it still could be a little bias on, I don't know. It's just so hard to, I mean, people can say, like, because, if a person loses, they're gonna be like, oh, they were just playing favorites. Like, they liked him better than me. Like, they can say whatever, So, which is another reason why I don't compete. Like, when I go to these shows, I don't. I just like to go and play my music. I like to demo for people and get them in the experience of them hearing the truck and everything. That's one of the reasons, because people get so defensive. Like, I've seen fights break out. Like, I've seen all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, it's just a trophy, man. Like, or but anyway, different strokes for different folks. It's just not my thing. Like, I like to just go to a show and chill out, have a good time, interact with the fans, and get them in the truck, blow their hat off, blow their hair around, whatever it ends up being. Just have a good time.
Yeah. But I like that what you said, JP, because if you got that printout, that graph, that computer is telling you physically which one it sounds better. You got something to show. You're not just saying that, hey, this guy heard this and he, you have something to show what was captured by the microphones. That might be the way to go, man. I don't know how expensive that is to have that set up, but that might be. You can't complain then, JP. You can't complain.
No, I mean, the only complaint would be that they lost because they really lost. They needed to make their stuff better. But yeah, it's not. I'm not a competitor for those reasons. But some people like competing, and different strokes for different folks.
Yeah. All right, JP. But I want to get into these Neo speakers versus ferret speakers, man, because I know that the Neos, you can get more performance out of the Neos, but is it a rumor or is it not rumor that once the Neo speakers get to a certain temperature, they maybe start to not sound as good? Is that a rumor or what, JP?
It is true, but there's always you need to know the rest of the story or have the context. It is true, but the temperature you would need to get it to start degrading in sound is such a insanely high temperature, the speaker will have probably already failed by then anyway. So it's in my opinion, it's really irrelevant. So, but the difference between Neo and ferrite speakers is usually ferrite speakers are a lot cheaper. Well, sometimes a lot cheaper. It just depends on the size. But they're also bigger. The magnets are bigger. They're heavier. So if you're doing, we're just talking about speakers right now, not subwoofers. But say you're doing a door panel of, like in my work truck, I have 12 6.5-inch mids, and they're the Down4 Sound D4S65 V2s, and they weigh 10 pounds a piece. So if that's a lot of weight hanging, and the tweeters, and by the time you build the door panel to hold them, you're looking at adding a grown man hanging off your door. Like that's 200 pounds of speakers and door panel that you're hanging on your door. So imagine if you had a stunt wall or something that you're trying to make or whatever for maybe a slingshot, or a slingshot that you don't need to have so overweight that it can't drive around. That, like some of these competition vehicles that we have in car audio, some of them get so heavy from all these ferrite speakers and lead acid batteries that they're so heavy they can't even drive because of the weight. So I'm sure you could possibly run into something with a slingshot weight issue wise. If you're trying to put 100 speakers, let's say you're trying to put 100 6.5s, like doing I guess that'd be a crazy build for a slingshot. So you're doing 100 6.5s pro audios. If you do 100 like the ones that I have in my work truck, that'd be adding 1,000 pounds in just mid range. So, or you could do a Neo version of it, and the magnet smaller. It would be easier to install. Usually the depth isn't as deep. You're gaining and it's like a quarter of the weight. So instead of you adding 100 6.5s and being at 1,000 pounds added in just 6.5s to your slingshot, you would be at 250 pounds in Neo and adding Neo 6.5s. So that's obviously way better than 1,000 pounds added. But there's different applications and different people want stuff for different reasons. And also the other trade-off is Neo speakers are usually a lot more expensive. Neodymium is usually a lot more expensive. So that's another trade-off. You pay more, you get less weight, but for the Neo, but on the ferrite, you'll pay less, but you get more weight and it takes more space to fit it in there. So a couple of trade-offs there.
Yeah. So when we say the Neo speakers, you get more performance out of the Neo than the ferrite. Is it noticeable? Is it so noticeable that, if you're trying to compete, you might as well get the Neo?
Well, I mean, it depends. Because you can have a ferrite speaker that will perform maybe close to or just as good. It depends on how much Neo there is. So you can have a pro audio mid that is a ferrite that is almost the exact same performance as a Neo mid. But the magnet on the back of the Neo mid is going to be a lot smaller, but they can make them where they perform exactly the same. But the Neo mid is probably going to cost twice as much as the ferrite mid, but the ferrite magnet is going to be massive in comparison to the Neo. So it just depends. You'd have to. It depends on which ones you would be comparing. But if you could get to where it was somewhat apples to apples, you can find a big beefy, like the Down4 Sound D4S65 V2s. They got a big magnet on the back. They'll hold their own. And say you get a Neo mid that has this half the size of the magnet, right, or even less, and it sounds exactly the same. But obviously you could get another Neo speaker that has more Neo there, and it's going to outperform the other one. So it just depends. Shout out to Tanya Costin. I see you. Thank you for the super chat.
All right, her comment, JP, is that tell JP that Jake Zesty says hello. Team Black Mamba.
I see him. I think I have them on Facebook.
Yeah. They have a slingshot that's called Black Mamba, and she wins a lot. She's I think she's middleweight and she plays up the heavyweight, and so awesome machine. When you hear her play, blows everybody away, man. So JP, if you have time, man, I'm gonna send you some of these. I know you're busy, man. I'm gonna send you some of these dates, man. We have so many shows, man. Would love to see you pop up at a show, man, and check us out.
Yeah, you never know where I'm gonna pop up at. I got shows all over the place. I was down in St. Thomas. I've been to Russia, over in Europe. I hadn't been to Australia yet, but Mexico. Like, I've seen a lot of things in the name of car audio, so I'm always out there. I don't know of anybody actually that travels more miles than me attending car audio or in the name of car audio. Obviously I do a lot of it by airplane, but I'm having my truck shipped. Like, I have the guys in Alabama that I couldn't do this without them for sure. They're like, it's almost like a NASCAR pit crew. Like, they trailer my Tahoe out to the show. I fly in, land on Friday night, go to the show Saturday morning. We get everything unloaded, do the show all day Saturday. Sometimes I get back on the plane Saturday night and go back home. They take the truck back to Alabama, so makes it where I'm able to attend so many shows and get back to Vegas to be here with my family and spend time with them, because we know that's important.
Right, definitely important. So JP, I want to get into some serious stuff, man. I want you to let us know what is the most important component of building a system, man. Listen, the alternator, the speakers, the power, because I believe that if you don't have the right power to push those amps, man, you're never going to get what you're trying to get. And plus, JP, if you don't have the right airspace in those speaker boxes, man, what is like the must-have thing when you're trying to build a system?
Yeah, my thing is, it takes power to make power. That's a saying that I've said for a very long time, because I see a lot of people, they want to have a ton of power, but they don't even think about what it takes to actually power those amplifiers. As you can buy, say, for instance, a Down4 Sound JP83 amplifier, big boy amp, is going to do massive power, but only if you're able to give it the battery power and alternator power that it needs to perform like it can if you have it. Because obviously if you don't, you're going to be starving it, and you could blow it up because you don't have what it needs to perform like it should. So I would definitely say alternator and battery power is super important in a system, because it takes power to make power. You got to have that battery reserve to so your amplifier can perform the way it is. And I'm a big fan of having more than enough. Like in my Tahoe, I have over, I think, to my knowledge, it's probably the biggest lithium bank in a car audio build. It's over 1,200 amp hours of lithium.
My God. Hey, that was good. I was going to ask you about that. So a lot of people overdo it, man. They have like 100 amp hours. Is that so? Overdoing it can never hurt you.
No, that's not in this case.
Yeah.
Not in this case. There's a lot of things in life you could overdo and it hurt you, but
you
can never have too much battery power.
But don't you need like another alternator or something? I mean,
yeah. So I mean, in my truck, using it for reference, I have 5 alternators on my Tahoe. So one of them runs the 12-volt side, and the other 4 are for the sub side. So I run 2 different voltages in there. One is 12-volt, and we call the other one 16-volt for the sub side. So it's good to I get asked this a lot too. Should I upgrade my battery first or my alternator first? The first thing that I would recommend doing is doing a big 3 upgrade, and because that's going to give you a little bit better performance from even your factory alternator. It'll give you a little bit, but you're going to have to do a big 3 in your vehicle when you do a high output alternator anyway. So then you would already have that taken care of. So I usually recommend the alternator first, because your alternator is where your initial source of power comes from. That's where the juice starts at, because without your alternator, your battery, as soon as you start hitting on it, like if you unhook your alternator or your vehicle's off, you start hitting on it, your battery will drain out relatively quickly because nothing is replenishing it. The alternator, it's like a bathtub. Your bathtub is your battery bank, and your drain at the bottom is your system sucking the water or the power out of your battery bank. And your alternator, depending on the size of it, is you're either filling it up with a hose this big or you're filling it up with a hose this big. Like what? Like obviously it needs to make sense, but if you're not filling it up, you're gonna run your battery down super fast. So yeah, I would say alternator is one of the most important things, and then your battery bank.
Yeah, and that's all zero gauge too, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. You
All
don't want to be
gauge.
messing with none of that small stuff.
Yeah.
And we got zero gauge in all the flavors. You name the color, we probably got it. I think we got like 12 different colors of wire now. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, JP, what is the big four? What is the big four?
Oh, some people, I mean, there's people that do their versions of whatever, but what did they do with that? So I know the big three, you're doing the positive from the alternator over to the battery positive, and then the negatives you're doing. There's a negative that some people, I know what it is now. Some people do a negative back to the alternator mounting bolt, and then some people do, and then also add a negative over to the like engine block somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do a negative down to the frame. Some people do a negative over to the body. So, I mean, you could technically have a big five if you wanted to, but that's what it is. You're just adding more grounds, more runs of positive. Like, it's not, I mean, I don't think it's that necessary in my opinion, but if you want to do it, I'd love to sell you some more wire.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, you hear about it all the time. Look, people are after, they want to build the best system. And what we just talked about is that the framework you got to have to build this system. If you don't have the alternator, then you're going to have a problem. If you don't have the battery, you're going to have a problem. Hell, if you don't have the zero gauge, you're going to have a problem, because what you're trying to push this much power through a little cable, you know? Yep. So it's all crucial to the game if you're trying to build something that's going to really sound good.
Definitely. A lot of people find out the hard way on the wire. They start melting their wire and burn their vehicle down.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, JP, what in the beginning when you started, did you have a good knowledge of everything, or did you have to go and make some mistakes? If you did, what were some of the mistakes you made?
Oh man, I almost burnt my vehicle down too. When I was a kid, I had a wire ran through my door jamb. And I was going through, I won't ever forget it. I was going through I was at this intersection and I started smelling smoke. And I'm like, what is that smell? And I see smoke coming, like it looked like it was coming up under my hood. So I pulled over real fast and I opened it, but it was because my wire was pinched in my door jamb. So it was shorting out and I didn't have no fuses or nothing. So I'm over there trying to yank the wire off and it's burning my hand because it's so hot. It's glowing red and it's a piece of wire, so I can't break it. And, I finally get some pliers or something out of my truck and get it undone, but it was starting to burn my carpet and everything in my truck. I almost burned it down because I didn't have a fuse on it, and I ran it through the door jamb like an idiot. But so that was a lesson. I mean, there's a lot of them though, but I would say that's don't run your stuff through a door jamb and properly make it go like the proper routes. If you're going through your floorboard, you need to have grommets or something to keep it from, because it's going to be moving. So you don't want it to be sliced on your whatever hole you punch in your floor. You want to make sure it's protected, because burning your vehicle down is never a good day.
It's not. That's a terrible day. Terrible day. So JP, I'm gonna get you out of here, man. We've been streaming for like almost an hour, and I appreciate you coming on, man. I just want to ask you one more thing. So isolators, man, isolators. So the isolator, in my knowledge, is that, like, say you don't have the car running, the isolator between the two batteries, between the main battery and the secondary battery, the isolator between that will cause when the car's not running or Slingshot's not running, you'll be only pulling power from the second battery, but you won't be pulling power from the main battery.
This is correct. And I make a ton of videos on my YouTube, answering these exact questions, because I get asked a lot of the same questions tons and tons of times. But so we started a frequently asked questions segment on my YouTube channel where we go through and we find questions that people ask a lot, and I go and personally answer them for people to help people with questions like this. But on the isolator, that's correct. So the theory is, when you turn your vehicle off, it disconnects, it separates the battery, we'll just say your front under hood battery and your back supplemental battery. Right. So say you're at a party or whatever, and you want to play your music, but you don't want to have your vehicle running. If you did not have an isolator and you just turn your key forward and you're out there jamming, and next thing you know, you don't hear no sound no more. You're like, wait, what's going on? You're like, oh, let me start this thing up. Oh, it's not going to start. I'm stuck now. So, but if you had an isolator, when you just had you may have to have it on a switch, because if you have it where the isolator connects when you turn the key forward, even if you didn't start the vehicle, but you had it in accessory mode, it would still connect both of the batteries. So in that case, you would want to have a switch to where it only did it when you had the switch on or off, whatever. But if you're out there at the party and you want to play it, but you want to make sure you're going to get home, you make sure that the isolator has the batteries disconnected when you're out there playing. So then when you hear it turn off, you're like, okay, well, I can start my vehicle first, and then I can hook the batteries back together and let it charge that back battery back up. So that would be the reason for having an isolator, is a little bit of insurance, added protection, not getting you. And also, some people run lithium batteries, and they say they'll have a certain type of chemistry up front. We usually don't recommend people mixing chemistries, because you get different float voltages. So say your front battery floats at 12.8, but your back battery floats at 13.2. If you have them connected together all the time, and when you turn your vehicle off, obviously they're going to be fighting each other. Your battery in the front, this 12.8, is going to be draining your battery that floats at 13.2. It's going to be bringing it down. It's going to be a parasitic drain on it. So it's going to end up shortening the life of your battery. But when you're charging and your vehicle is charging at 14 volts or 14.4, whatever, it doesn't really matter, because they're both okay to be charged there. It's when you turn it off is the issue that starts draining your higher floating battery. So in that case, you would want an isolator. So when you turn your vehicle off, they're separated and they're not fighting each other.
Right. Exactly. All right, JP, man. You want to give us any information about the Down4 Sound, man? Any sales going on, JP? Any sales? You got any shows coming up?
We got Sundown Audio on sale right now. They just started their tax time sale early. So if you want to get some great products from the Sundown Audio brand, they already started. So a lot of that stuff's already marked on sale. We'll probably be doing something with Down4 Sound products a little bit later. I think it's a little premature, because most people, in my opinion, I don't think most people's tax money has started hitting yet. Like, need to wait a little bit. So because if we do the sale now and then we stop it in a week, people are like, I didn't even get my check yet. Like, what am I supposed to do? Help a brother out. So we'll probably wait a little while before we do ours, but Sundown's doing it. But we have, like I said, our normal pricing on our products is very fair. So you still won't go wrong with getting your products from us now. As far as shows, this is kind of my slow time for me. The first few months of the year, I don't have too many shows because it's crappy weather or like cold, or a lot of people don't want to get out. But we usually start up in end of March or April. I'm trying to think of which one we go to first. I think it's a show down in Florida. Not Made of Steel. What show was that? I can't remember, but We post. There's a section on our website, our calendar, to show what shows that we're going to be attending, and if I'm going to have the Tahoe with me, or if it's just going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
And we have people reach out to us all the time, like wanting me to attend their shows. Sometimes they just want me. Sometimes they want me in the Tahoe. And I try to work with people on like getting out there with them, but obviously it costs a ton of money to haul this thing like across the states to attend shows, so it has to be somewhat mutually beneficial to the both of us. But I know I bring a ton of value with me, because the vehicle gets a ton of people coming to the shows. So a lot of people pay for me to come to their shows because I know it boosts the attendance majorly. And I like it, depending on the deal that's worked out, I'll share it all over my social media, YouTube channel. It just depends. There's a lot of variables there, but I attend a ton of shows throughout the year just to be back with the people. It's debatable. I could spend all the money that I spend in going to actually attending shows in person. If I dumped all that money into online ads, I could probably get more return off of it and never leave Vegas. But I like being out there with people. I like interacting with them. I like seeing their reactions to the system, and I love hearing other people's stuff too, and especially customers of mine, like seeing what they've done with the equipment, and then walking around the shows and seeing Down4 Sound amps and people's rides, Down4 Sound batteries, Down4 Sound t-shirts everywhere. Like it's really a surreal feeling to walk through there and see this brand like everywhere. I mean, even you wearing it right now, and like the sticker in the back, like it's the funny thing is I was doing this, I was giving away t-shirts and stickers for years, and I'm spending like, last year I think we spent $175,000 in t-shirts, and a lot of we sell some of them, but we give a ton of them away with orders like you're talking about. But so for years, I'm giving away all these t-shirts and stickers and stuff, and I'm going to all these shows. I'm like, where are they? Like, what are people throwing them in the trash or what? Like, I'm like giving away for years, and I'm not seeing them anywhere. And then it was like 2 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, I went to, I think it was Slamology, like the biggest car audio show of the year, and I walked in there, and I'm like, oh, there they are. Man, there was everywhere. I mean, I couldn't walk anywhere without seeing a Down4 Sound t-shirt, Down4 Sound amp, Down4 Sound speaker, lanyard, like stickers. Like, I mean, they were everywhere. And now when I go to shows, man, people will ask me if I threw the show, because they're like, there's so many Down4 Sound shirts and stickers and stuff. Is this a Down4 Sound show? I'm like, no, it's whatever this show is. But it's just it's like a sea of Down4 Sound stuff, and it's so awesome to me, and I'm super grateful for people's support, because I couldn't do what I do without the support of everybody that follows me, that purchases from me, that shows me love in whatever way it might be. So I'm super grateful for everybody's support.
Yeah, and that's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. That's just for your dedication to your passion, man. And like I said, when you were doing the YouTube videos, so the YouTube videos were like the start. They were the start of everything, right?
Right. I started doing that kind of just sharing what I was doing. Like back, I mean, I don't know if there's a way to search oldest YouTube videos on a person's channel, but if you did, man, you could see how bad I was at talking on camera. It was so bad, but that's how I got started. And the more you do something, the better you get at it, and the more you talk with people, the more. I mean, even when I started doing podcasts, I struggled with stuttering, saying a lot, just because it was something new to me. Even though I'd been videoing myself, like being there with another person and interacting with another person, just in this particular scenario, would struggle sometimes. And I'm like, wow. Why? Is this another person? But it was that added metric to it that I hadn't been used to. So, but now since I've done so many of them, I'm like, no big deal. There's just another person like me. It's like having a conversation. So, but back in the day when I first started my YouTube, it wasn't pretty. It was rough.
Right. But from one YouTuber to another YouTuber, man, I appreciate you doing all your videos, man, giving out instructions on how to do this and that, and then explaining the different, like the video I watched twice on the Neo speakers versus the Ferris speakers. I watched that twice. And I watched one of your guys. He did the importance of a DSP. I think that's what he was talking about, the DSP. So I watched a lot of your videos, man, and a lot of people go to your YouTube channel to learn knowledge on different components of their system and stuff. Why does it do this, and how to build it correctly. So, hey,
I try to do those
commend you
videos
on that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I try to, like I said, do those frequently asked question videos, or if we see questions popping up, like a lot on Facebook or whatever, like person. I know one of our popular videos is how do I wire a single dual voice coil subwoofer, or how do I wire two dual voice coil subwoofers? This is one of the most common questions asked, because you can, even if you have a single sub and it's dual voice coil, they're like, how do I get a 1 ohm load or a 2 ohm load, or can I even get a 1 ohm load with the subwoofer that I have? You have a dual 4, you can't even get a 1 ohm load with a single sub. You can only get a 2 ohm load, but people don't know this. But anyway, so I made videos on that, but I try to make videos on all the popularly asked questions or frequently asked questions. What's a big 3? Why do I need a big 3? Do I need a high output alternator? When do I need a high output alternator? How do I wire those subs? Like, just all those things that people ask a lot of. I try to make sure to go in there and make videos of it so we can answer those questions for people.
Yeah. You do a good job, man. Do a good job. So, hey, JP, man, I want to thank you, man, for coming on the show, man, taking time to stream live with me, man. I will invite you back if you'll come back, man. If you have a sale or you want to, put some shows out or something like that, just let me know. So I appreciate it, man. I want to say thanks and bye.
All right, man. I appreciate you too. Have a great night. Thank you, everybody, for coming to hang out with us.
All right. Listen, I thank you guys for taking time, man, to get on Straight Up TV, man. I am your Slingshot platform, man, for YouTube. Anytime you feel like you want to come by, man, if you have a conversation, man, if you have something to say that for the betterment of the Slingshot community, man, please contact me and come on the show, man. So let's close out. Let's close out with everybody, you know what I'm saying? Give me your